Huh?
Nice of you to show up late, Ernest. Just like Jimmy Butler does every single year for the last couple seasons. You like that little intro there?
Love it.
Anyways, as y'all can see, today I got the boy Ernest back for another 2-part video. We posted one a couple months ago talking about best case scenario and worst case scenario finishes to the season. It ended up being the absolute worst case scenario. We didn't even talk about a Jimmy Butler injury in that video, so it was worse than we could have ever imagined, but that's beside us. Today, we're in the offseason. We have a very exciting offseason ahead of us, but today we actually want to talk about the Jimmy Butler extension specifically. And last time, I was the negative side, so this time I'm going to try to be positive on why Jimmy should get his extension, and we're going to do a part 2 on my boy Ernest's channel. But before we get into it, how you doing today, bro?
Oh, living the dream, bro. Woke up. God allowed me to wake up another day, brother, so it's a great day. So I'm ready to go. I'm ready to talk Miami Heat basketball. Specifically, let's talk Jimmy Butler.
You better be ready to talk Heat basketball. It's
always
Miami Heat talk. It's in the name. Anyway, so obviously,
I like that. Miami Heat talk. Like it's in the name. Stolen.
Hey, that's enough said.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love it.
The fans are gonna appreciate this. Hey, but for real,
appreciate you.
We appreciate the support, man. Well, we had a lot of fun doing this last time, so we'll be bringing this back pretty regularly with these 2-part series. So, anyways, big topic of discussion. I was gonna say maybe the most important talking point this summer, but really it's probably not, because as we speak, the Cavaliers are playing the Boston Celtics. Just for some context, Donovan Mitchell's not playing tonight. I'm assuming they're getting their ass kicked. I'll check real quick. I got the score up here. They're down 3. But assuming the Cavaliers do lose tonight, that's obviously going to put a lot more rumors in the Donovan Mitchell talk, and that might be the biggest talking point this offseason. But as far as Jimmy Butler, he is up for a contract extension at his old-ass age of, 34 now? But
34.
He's going to be like 37 by the time it's over. And I'll break into the numbers real quick before I throw it over to Ernest. So as it stands right now, and I'll switch over to here, we got the Jimmy Butler contract on screen, as you can see. And this season, he made $45 million. Next season, he's set to make almost $49 million. And he can still opt into his player option for the following season of $52 million. And he'll be at the age of 36. Now, one thing that you got to keep in mind, because he does have this player option, I guess technically next year, in the year of 25-26, all that adding a 3-year extension does is it essentially includes these 2 current years and just adds on an extra year after that. So essentially, he'll go from 2 years making $101 million, which means he'll be getting paid $52 million at 36 years old, to a 3 more years at $161 million, which is about $58 million at the age of 37. That's a lot of numbers, but all you got to know is it's a lot of numbers for a guy who's already starting to decline. But this is supposed to be positive. So that being said, I'm going to throw it over to Ernest. Ernest, what are you just thinking when you hear these numbers and you hear Jimmy's age? What are your thoughts?
It's not the age. Like, a lot of people like to think, oh, he's 34. Bro, I mean, LeBron's 39. And look what he's doing. And I know you can't compare LeBron with Jimmy. I understand that. Jimmy's a beast of his own. Like, the guy takes care of himself. He keeps himself in tip-top shape. Bro, the way the world is these days, 34 years old, yeah, it's not 22. But if you keep yourself in good health, if you eat right and you take care of your body, you can prolong your prime. So it's not the age that I have a problem with. Because look at KD. He's still busting ass at 35. It's the amount of games he takes off that gets to everybody. It's the fact that you're paying him this ludicrous amount of money to play 55 to 60 games a year. That's the problem that everyone has. Now, I understand that. I understand that it's crazy to think about giving a guy this much money. He may only play 60 games, but let's not forget what he does in the playoffs. And I understand that people are saying, oh, but Ernest, you're making an excuse and that's not good enough. Well, when you're busting Milwaukee's ass 4-1 as an 8th seed, it kind of makes up for it. This year was this year. He got injured, and people are going to say age, and I understand that. But Jimmy Butler has deserved the money he's gotten. I feel. So to give him a contract extension, if it's to add an additional year, this is the positive video. So I would say, yeah, it's beneficial to give him the extension because one, you're keeping him happy. We've all seen what a pissed off Jimmy Butler does. You don't want to bring that drama to your team. So it keeps him happy, keeps morale good. It shows other players from other teams who are potential free agents, wow, Miami be taking care of them people. Makes them think during free agency time or when you're talking trades. So yeah, it's beneficial to give your guy a contract extension because it shows here in Miami that Pat Riley takes care of people. Now, you can make a lot of arguments about giving him that money, but at the end of the day, business-wise, there's good reasons for it.
So while you were speaking, that was very eloquently put, by the way. You bring up a lot of great points.
Thank you.
My mindset was thinking how to refute everything you're saying. I'll state this. I want Jimmy Butler to get his money. I think he deserves his money. I just think the Heat should wait until next offseason to do it. There's no reason to do it early. But reminding myself that this is the positive video, I'll save all the negatives and rebuttals for Ernest's video after this. That's why y'all got to check out part 2. But you bring up the age, and the point that I really like that you brought up is you mentioned guys like LeBron and KD who, yes, you can say they're outliers, but it is a fact that nowadays guys are playing much longer than they were 10 years ago. 10 years ago in the league, 33, 34, that was a common age to retire. And now you're seeing guys be actual role players into 37, 38, LeBron 39 years old. And that's obviously attributed to advances in science and technology and just these guys knowing how to take better care of their bodies. So I do think that's a positive. But as far as Jimmy Butler's game, how do you think his game translates with age? Because I think that's something that we see with a lot of these guys is they're playing longer, but they're also able to change their style of play. Like D Wade became more jump shot heavy, was dominating that mid-range as he got older. Do you think Jimmy can kind of do a lot of that too?
I think you've seen that this season. He averaged the most 3-point percentage, the highest 3-point percentage in his career at 41%. He took the most threes in his career. I know a lot of people were thinking, oh, that means he's declining. That, he sucks now. No, it just means he's evolving his game. It's like you mentioned, Dwayne Wade.
What do you shoot, like 40% from three? Like
I think it was like 41. Hang on, 41.4. It was the first time in his career he ever shot 40% from.
You remember early in the season he was holding up the 5-0 every time that he shot because he was 50% for a minute too.
He was trying, bro. But I mean, that shows you that he can do it. But look, his 3-point attempts were at 2.4 a game. So at 41%, that's pretty good numbers. You saw it with Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade was not the same player here at 2018, 2019 that he was in 2010, 2011. As a player, you can evolve. Now, look, giving a player that age that type of money, it's kind of like the risk that were like Kevin Durant, Damian Lillard. You don't know what they're going to give you towards the tail end of those contracts. But you do it for specific reasons because, like I mentioned, business-wise, it does help and it does work. Now, can Jimmy evolve his game and change it around? Absolutely. I think Jimmy can even play more games. I just think that he takes a lot of time off because he likes to bring it for the playoffs. We've seen that when he load manages during the season in playoff time, he turns it up. 2020, 2022, 2023. We've seen that. The dude needs to play more regular seasons though. Like that's just something that I strongly feel 60 is not enough. So I think he can evolve his game. I think he can even take different strides. I think he can be more of a playmaker, be more of a shooter, be more of a 3-and-D type of player, allow other guys to step up. So Jimmy can evolve his game. So I definitely think he can.
Well, I guess the positive of him missing all these games is it sounded like a lot of the games he missed was just because he didn't feel like playing. He wanted to rest. We heard Pat Riley in that post game or that postseason presser, and he was like, Jaime Jaquez. He was hurt, but when he was healthy, he played. And obviously, Pat had 1,000 quotes about how he wants guys to play when they're healthy. It's no secret that he was subtly talking about Jimmy Butler there, right? So if you want to take that as a positive, you could say, hey, Jimmy's not really injury prone. He just was giving a luxury to take nights off. And if he gets his contract money, Pat Riley will have to have a sit down with him and Spoelstra and say, hey, Jimmy, you want your money. You deserve your money. We're paying you your money. But we can't be lenient anymore on these nights off, or, oh, you're a little sore. You want to, take a rest, or, oh, you are playing tonight, but you're only going to take 7 shots in the game. We give you your money, but that's contingent on you playing 100%. So I do think that's a positive, because I think that's something that we can reasonably expect.
I mean, I've mentioned this in my channel. I think that if you do give a guy who's 35 years old or turning 35 years old a contract extension that pays him $50 million for the year, it's gotta come performance based. Like I think that's what it should be. Okay, you want this money? Okay, you need to play X amount of games. We need to go X amount, like X far in the playoffs. Like, it's gotta come with restrictions. Maybe not the playoff thing, but at least like play. Okay, I'm gonna sign you to a contract extension, but if you don't make the All NBA team, or if you don't make the All-Star team, then you're not gonna get certain amount of money. What does that do? It makes him try in October, November, December. I've seen a pattern of Jimmy Butler the last 2 years, and I thought it was funny at first, but since after the 2021 season, dude didn't want to go to the All-Star game anymore. You can obviously tell that. He just hated being there. So he would just coast.
I won so much money, what was it, a couple years ago, on the anonymous player prop betting app that doesn't sponsor me, so I won't say their name. During the All-Star game, they had Jimmy Butler at like 7.5 points. I put so much money on the under. I said, that kid is going to check into the game, foul someone, and get out 15 seconds later. And that's exactly what we saw. So you're absolutely right.
Dude, he doesn't try from October to January, and then after the All-Star break, he turns it on because he doesn't want to go there anymore. So you need to, I feel, hey, okay, you want the max contract extension, fine. But if you want it fully guaranteed, you got to play X number of games. You got to make the All-Star team, and you got to make an All-NBA team, or at least an All-Defensive team. It's going to make him play amazing during the season, and I think it's just going to benefit us. I don't understand if you give a guy a contract not to play, but this is positive. So I'm going to steer back positive, and I'm going to say it again. You give the guy the contract extension, and I understand earlier you mentioned we don't have to wait until next year. This ain't 2010. Players are not waiting until their contract expires to
Guys
test
don't
the
become free
market.
agents anymore. They don't
No.
become free agents. You're right.
No, bro,
Good
do you
point.
remember that 2010 draft class? LeBron, Wade, Dirk, Bosh, Amari, oh my God, everybody, like Garnett, everybody, bro. It was the hottest thing. We got the reward. But players don't do that anymore. Now it's the year before my player option, 2 years before my player option, I need a contract extension, because that last year before my player option, I need to be guaranteed more. So it's literally when there's 3 years left in the contract, you need to start talking about an extension. So that's just the way the NBA is now. So if you give Jimmy the contract extension, and I'll say it again, it keeps him happy, morale's happy, other players see that. So it gives Miami credibility when you're trying to bring another player. There's nothing but positive. It's nothing but positive for the Miami Heat to give him the contract extension. I just think it needs to be performance based. That's the only thing. That's not going to happen though.
That I wouldn't say so, because I was gonna say, actually, incentive-based contracts are very common, and especially in the NBA, probably more so in the NFL. But I think Tyler Hero has a ton in his, so there's a reason he probably won't make as much money as we're all scared that he's currently on the books for. So that is a thing in the NBA, and I think that's something that should be attached to Jimmy's contract as well. A couple more things that you brought up earlier. One I want to reference. You mentioned how they lost D Wade. How much of that whole mistake that the front office made do you think impacts their decision on whether to extend Jimmy or not?
I think it's huge. I think they're gonna look at it as like, we can't make the same mistake we made in 2016. We can't. So I think that's gonna kind of play into this whole thing. It's like, and then it's the other thing that I say, because remember, something that people don't like to remember or don't want to talk about. After we lost Wade, we fell into scrutiny in the NBA. Pat Riley lost his godfatherism, as you can say, because nobody was coming here. Gordon Hayward failed. Kevin Durant failed. Kawhi Leonard failed. Kyrie
LaMarcus,
Irving, fail. Everyone, James Harden,
LaMarcus
fail.
Aldridge.
Dude, LaMarcus Aldridge, failed. Like, we couldn't get a single person here. And say what you want,
Mm.
Gordon Hayward, in my opinion, was the biggest chance that we had. We had him, and then he likes to say, "Oh no, they convinced me on Boston." No, I think it was the agent. It was like, bro, no, don't do it. Go to Boston. You're with Brad Stevens. I just feel like there was a bad taste in the mouth for agents and players from the Heat for a few years. So I think that also has a play in it as well.
I know we're supposed to be positive in this video, but I'm not getting caught up on Gordon freaking Hayward, okay? I'm not getting caught up on losing it, even though your overall point was right. And while I disagree with the point that it was a mistake, letting Dwayne Wade walk, I actually am in the minority on that. I have a very hot take on that, but it tends to be a bit negative, I guess. So we'll say that for your video too. But your overall point of, I think the team will, that the whole D-Wade situation impacts how they go moving forward is because, yes, they lost that on all those guys that you mentioned. I do think those guys being kind of iffy on how this organization treats their stars, I think that did have an impact on that. And on top of that, we know that the front office at least thinks they made a mistake, because what did they do after that? They gave these massive long-term deals to Tyler Johnson, James Johnson, Dion Waiters, Hassan Whiteside, because that was the organization. Yes, that's what set them. That's why the Heat have no assets today. Or that's a big reason for it, right? Because you had to attach contracts to get rid of Ryan Anderson. You couldn't sign guys. When the Heat signed those guys, this is a tangent, but they said, oh, we have tradable contracts. Nobody wanted those guys.
Nope.
That set the franchise back so far. But I think the Heat gave those guys the contracts because they wanted to say, hey, look, NBA, we love our players. These guys played well the second half of a season. Let's reward them with a 4-year massive deal. So I think the front office at least knows they made a mistake. And like you said, I do think that plays an impact into them wanting to pay Jimmy, regardless of what Pat Riley said at the presser. Because let me know if you agree, but Jimmy Butler is a dog who loves confrontation. Hearing Pat Riley publicly call him out, I don't think soured the Heat in Jimmy's mind at all.
That's a Tuesday in the Miami Heat. Like that. I mean, bro, you know what? The NBA media and people on Twitter and these trolls, bro, it's just SDE big time. Like this stuff with Pat Riley and Jimmy Butler, that argument a few years ago with Adonis Haslam and Jimmy Butler in the bench, people need to understand. In other teams, it's a big deal. Yeah, it's ESPN worthy and stuff like that. It's Draymond Green punching Jordan Poole worthy. But for the Miami Heat, that's a Tuesday. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's every day. We be getting up
on a punch Shaq. Like,
yeah, bro. Like, oh my God.
Those guys love each other nowadays. Like,
bro, people just like to be dramatic. Like, honestly, that comment meant nothing. What Pat Riley and Jimmy Butler, it's like, I listened to what Bernie Lee said, Jimmy Butler's agent, and he just laughed. He's like, Pat Riley and Jimmy Butler, they're cut from the same cloth. Like, that's Pat Riley challenging Jimmy, and that's Jimmy like, all right, bro, okay, I see you. Because sometimes that happens. Sometimes you get complacent. Sometimes, like, we've all known those people in work that they like to call out. And if they're not, like, reprimanded from that, they'll do it again and again and again and again and again until they're checked. Then some people will get positive and do right, and some people will continue to be idiots about it. I think Jimmy Butler is the one that'll just take that comment and go, all right, I'm going to show you, Pat. Watch this. I think next season will be a big year for Jimmy. I think the next year will be the big year for the Heat. I think this year smack them in the face. And I think Spo is going to be able to get more control. And he's going to be able to tell these guys, you see what the fuck I told? Excuse me. You see what I told y'all? Y'all played around. Y'all messed around. You got the 8th seed. You got the play-in again, but this time no magic run. We cannot do that this year. I think Spo's going to light a fire under these guys' ass. You give Jimmy Butler a contract extension. It makes Jimmy happy. It makes the morale happy. And it makes us rock and roll and moving forward. Will it bite us in the ass in a year or two? Maybe. But we're on the verge of winning a championship. You got to do what you got to do to win, bro. And letting Jimmy Butler, pissing off Jimmy Butler or letting Jimmy Butler walk, in my opinion, is not a good idea.
Hey, we talking about the toughest, nastiest, meanest team in the NBA right here. You don't have to bleep your curses, Ernest. We all good over here. Well, listen, everything you said is accurate. That's why I don't have this big fear that Jimmy is gonna go all Minnesota Timberwolves on us if he doesn't get his money. He obviously won't be super happy, right? But I don't think he'll freak out. That's why one positive of giving him the money is he'll be happy, right? Not saying that the opposite is him demanding a trade, but he'll be happy. And I think that's important because at the end of the day, although I am in favor of holding off on giving him the contract and seeing how this year goes, what I cannot question is that he absolutely deserves the money. He hasn't won any championships here, but looking at what he did for this team, not only from just the on-court stuff, but the giving us hope going into every single season, knowing that you have hope, I think that alone is enough of a reason why he deserves it.
Yeah. He pulled us off the Hassan Whiteside phase. I am totally with giving him an extension.
We're not doing. That's a good way to call it. We're not doing Hassan Whiteside disrespect here. You know that's my boy. That's my boy. Ernest, you want to shout out, tell these people to go over to your channel for part 2?
Yeah, guys, please don't forget. Head over to my channel, Miami Heat Talk. We doing part 2. Today was about reasons why to give Jimmy Butler the contract extension. Part 2 is going to be reasons why we do not, or we should not, give him a contract extension. So please, guys, head over to Miami Heat Talk. Click the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter, X as well, Miami Heat Talk. Thank you so much for having me, Anthony. It was fun, bruh.
Yes. Hey, make sure y'all hit subscribe over here. Go to Ernest's channel, hit subscribe as well. You guys genuinely have no idea how much those 2 seconds to click a button genuinely help us out a lot. So you'll go to part 2 to hear my entire list of things I have to say.
And it keeps us motivated like Jimmy Butler. Yeah.
I'm going to leave it after that. I'll see y'all next time.
Pull up in your city tryna get that dead face. Do it on my own, I don't need no dead weight. Had to kill him off, yeah, I need a head space. You know this homegrown bitch don't offend me.